Good afternoon, evening, everyone. It's Scott and Rita. We're both wearing our Fixer shirts.
Yep, here's mine.
So we are cosmic fixers.
Fixing it up.
We're fixing ourselves.
Yes.
And this is number 61. So we were talking about earlier, like, now that we realize that love and truth and all those things can come to us, and we don't need validation from the external world, and that we're totally worthy of love, and we totally know our worth, what's next? What do you do when you kind of start feeling that?
And instead of figuring it out in our heads, we decided to talk about it as if it's happened.
Oh, fun.
And to just go ahead and accelerate everything. Well, I think we'll just assume that it's December next year, the end of 2019, going into 2020. And we started out this year just knowing that we are lovable and loving. And any times that we're not loving, we know that we'll pay attention to the correction, and we'll redirect ourselves, and to have that confidence in ourselves. And so a year ago we were thinking about what would be different approaching life, just having that knowing, yeah, I'm loving, I'm lovable. What I do is what I'm here to do. And how is it different to offer that to, or not even offer it, just do it and allow and accept and receive what comes from it. So what's your experience been in this past year?
Well, I remember last year we talked about how, like, we used to have this sickness of that we felt like we had to take on the hard stuff. Like all the hard stuff that we take on, like our sickness was of taking on, like, oh, I'll experience the hardships so that someone else can benefit. So we had that. We kind of got rid of that right away. We acknowledged that. We got rid of it right away. It was something that we both like realized that we were, I don't know whether it was out of people pleasing or whether it was out of like seeking validation, but we felt like we were stronger than people to take that on, so that we had to be the big person to take on pain so that other people wouldn't have to suffer. We got through that. We kind of acknowledged first that was something we didn't need it. We could let it go.
And to try to make it better for everybody. That was my feeling. Let's make this better for everybody. We see the problem. Okay, we'll do it. We'll do the hard part, and that will be better. Or just being overly responsible for it.
Yeah, that overly responsible thing is, well, it's not responsible at all. And it's that overly responsible thing, really, we realize now that it prevents other people from going through their own growth, their own process of experiencing love and truth for themselves. And so it's...
I feel like you just hit on the reason why we could feel so strongly that most people want to not go through that, and sort of a demand that we make it not happen for them. And that's what we feel. And so we just, okay, all right, I know I can get through it. Let's make this better.
So much of and even coaches have that like theory of like, I went through all this stuff and I learned this and I learned this and I have this knowledge, and now you don't have to go through that. That's like a big coaching model of like, take my expertise and learn from me because I've gone through this. So now you don't have to. Well, who does that help?
Yeah.
Who does that really help? And who is that really serving? So Yeah, so it's that irreverence probably too. People think we're irreverent now. It's been a year later, and all we do is we just show up, and we sometimes do zany things, and we sometimes do crazy things, and go out way out there in the future, way far out, and we just stretch our own boundaries and stretch our own limits of how far out we'll take a conversation, or how far out we'll talk about what a fixer does, and it's just it's like this stretching thing that we do for us, and and I think people are slowly plugging into it. Like, we don't ask for validation, we don't ask for YouTube comments, we just do it. We're just embodying ourselves. I know I started making cookies because I just love doing it, and I started doing it. And making crazy t-shirts because I love doing it. It's just what I did. It was my designer geek self that loves doing that, being in that zone. I didn't have to please anyone. And definitely when I was like totally like happy doing it, that probably, I don't know, maybe people felt that was, oh, he's really zany and in his element. So I didn't even feel judgment anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I noticed at the end of last year that like I was experimenting with this whole thing about people posting photos of themselves. Oh, and what is that even for? I was kind of judgy about it. Why? And so I did it because I was judgy of it. Just so I could learn from it. And, a selfie or a Christmas photo of me, what's that for? I don't get it, but I'm doing this. And the response back to it was just so positive. And I had to learn to accept that people, I don't know what it is exactly. I guess that they feel a connection or something, and to just allow that that's something that people connect with, a photo of me. I don't, I really, really don't get it. But I just kept experimenting with it.
yeah, I experimented like for weeks of just putting Ray Donovan gifts as comments on people's blogs, and they loved it. So it was just like, I don't get it, but it was like, sometimes I feel like we really, and that's kind of like playfulness. I like the playfulness we did. And we're like, a little judginess comes through, and like, well, are they going to really look at me? And then you're like, oh, let's just throw it out and do it. And then you get the total opposite of what you thought people were going to say. And it really does kind of, for me, it shows me how like I was expecting floods of judgment to come my way. I was so expecting it. And so this year has been a year of learning that that's not always going to be the case for you. And that if you realize you're worthy of love, and you feel loving, and you're doing something loving, you don't have to expect to be judged. Like, it's kind of fun to let that go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I expect that, well, yeah, like I said in the beginning, just knowing that you are lovable and allow that to come to you. Allow that to be supported.
I think too, for me, it was more of, as I got through doing all of my daily work and realizing that I was lovable and like didn't have to worry about the fixing with sort of, it's kind of ironic, paradoxical.
Mm-hmm.
I could do whatever I want with like work to bring me income or money, or to live wherever I wanted to live. I could do whatever I want, and I could even quit jobs that I didn't like anymore and just keep doing whatever I wanted, and didn't have to worry so much. Like I didn't have this intention that I had to do my purpose. Like my purpose purpose. Like I think we get shoved down our throat so
What
much.
what if our purpose is just being our lovable self?
Yeah, and it goes back to like sliding the piece of pie over to somebody is yeah, I mean that's so much lighter than purpose. And I love that. It's yeah, it's the purpose is probably it's to I don't know, I feel like before I had it was a baby bird with my mouth open.
Mm,
Feed me, and just wanting that food
mm,
as a baby bird. And I don't feel that anymore. I kind of, yeah, I'm just a bird now.
yeah.
Just a bird. I don't have to, worms come to me, love comes to me. There's an abundant world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's
Right.
that's kind of the place I'm in. And it's really cool just to experience that. And I have to say it's cool just because, you know, that's one thing we've both learned. I think you'll agree with me that when you feel love and you feel like you're abundantly aware of your worth and love and you're giving and serving love and love is coming your way, like who are you to kind of deny it? You're like really just pushing it away, saying, oh yeah, that's fine, but no, that's not really me and I'm unworthy and whatever. That's another exercise we had to go through, is like to feel that, like what does that feel like when I push away love to me, that I'm unworthy. And that was a huge hit. I was like, wait a second, who am I to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Who am I to do that? That's so, yeah, that's part of
There's
that
a,
fitness.
there's such a fine line between total worthiness, or it appears, maybe it's not, appears total worthiness and narcissism. We don't understand, or we didn't. We're understanding it now. You're into that experiment, but because there's so much narcissism in the world, and we never wanted to be that, but we never learned how to have full worthiness from, I mean, until we had started teaching ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a paradox between that narcissistic self-love and acknowledging that, and um,
It's just like not being a fixer, but not being a fixer.
I know. What does that fixer on your shirt mean? And I've told people absolutely nothing, and so they're stunned. And you know, what does that mean? Nothing really. So, or I'll say something like, "It's me, like putting it on to feel to ask for people to ask questions, and for me to, by not fixing their problem, it fixes the problem." So it's this. I don't know. It's and it changes every time. I wear the shirt just to start the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me
It's
too.
more experimental for me. So I wear the shirt to start the conversation, and then people are wondering, intrigued, and I feel their intrigue, and they'll come up with something like, "You have fixer like those contract killers." I'm like, "Oh, no. Do you really think that's fixing? No."
Yeah, I advertised that across my
Yes. So, but it's just a fun experiment, and it's the lightness of it being new. I mean, it's just, I have awesome conversations now, and I have awesome, intriguing things, and it's not about it being narcissistic for me. It's just about how like it's like, I mean, it's got like your circle on it that you made for me. That's like a projects love, truth, and protects me as well, and also gives me activation. So why wouldn't I wear it? It's kind of like the whole, I don't know, it's just like people know certain symbols, and they can be very humble with them too. Like they know symbols, like if someone wears a cross, they make an assumption, or if someone wears a survival bracelet, they'll make an assumption. And so there's just not an assumption yet for what
Right.
a fixer shirt is.
Yeah. I've had people, like you said, well, what's a fixer? What do you fix? What would you like to have fixed? And then let the conversation begin. Not that I'm
Yeah.
going to fix it, but what would you like to have fixed?
Yeah.
And then voila, there's the answer just arrives.
Yeah, and all it is just posing a question. You ask the question, what is that? No, how would you like? How no one has ever really asked someone really, what would you like to be fixed? I mean, how many people like ask that question? The first question is like, what do you do?
Mm.
And now like I have a fixer, like say ask me what do I do? I just say I'm a fixer. And they're like, whoa, what does that mean? And I just sort of, what do you think it means? What would a fixer do for you?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, I think fixers just have conversations with people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's up to them to take the action after the conversation.
Yeah. And that's all you really have to do. It's just you just start a conversation with someone. That's what a fixer does. And you actually just all you have to do is do that, and like you let that whole third hand or higher self, higher purpose, universe, source, whatever. You just start the conversation and you let everything else happen. You trust that process. You trust that everything else will happen. That it's not you that's fixing anyone. So
Yeah, because you can be sure that in those conversations, we are being also prompted to go then take an action that will fix something for us as well.
oh yeah, I had a conversation where someone just talked to me, and then she spilled all this stuff about all the grief in her life, and all I did was just hold her hand and say, I'm sorry. And we both cried, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like I was hired to do anything or had to be a therapist or give her advice or go down any sort of road. It was just, just
allow a feeling.
Allow a feeling. So
yeah, how often do you come across that when you go out into the world? A feeling allowed. Radical.
it's very radical. And so these moments happen to us, and so I really half of our time in this channel is now talking about the moments we have, just not fixing people and what that does and what it did. So as examples, and maybe other people will start their conversations. Maybe other people will take it upon themselves to like just reach out and like start conversations and be a little bit what's the word we used to use? Grandiose. And allow that grandiosity just to be put in just a little bit, whether it's a shirt or a hat or a sticker on your laptop or something that gets an intrigue that's sort of unspoken, that like maybe it gets a little way in, because the world is kind of crazy with how they're not letting any of us in.
Mm.
So it's a little easier. So the circles can actually find a better way. Even if it's just like, oh, I really like that circle. Oh, it looks like a snail. Oh, what is that? Who does that artwork? And then you, of course, say, oh, it's my artwork.
Mm-hmm. Let's find out what your soul looks like today.
Yeah.
And what it has to say.
And not to us, but to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And let's see how you feel about when your soul starts speaking to you. And it's okay to feel whatever you feel. So it's a lot of fun. So it's
and to just have people experience that they're feeling right now is allowed, and let them know that, oh, that's actually a positive thing that leads to more positive growth and releases. And now I can go do that for another person.
Yeah, yeah. Like one time, like somebody came up and said, "What is this fixer thing?" I was like, "I don't know. Right now, I'm just eating pie. You want some pie?" And they're like, "Okay." Well, so it was,
Yeah,
and it's their opportunities just to play,
right.
just to play and to color. And um, when you were talking about your selfies and doing all that, it's like you made me think of an experiment I'd like to do sometime about like just drawing self portraits with crayons, and they can be outlandish and crazy, and but just sharing that
For some reason,
like a
I,
4-year-old would. Here's me.
yeah, yeah. This is totally unrelated, but it just dropped in. Distributing fixer shirts to um, street people. I feel like they have abilities that we are so completely not honoring.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, and
Give them a portal, give them an avenue to fix.
yeah, and the world's not giving them those kinds of avenues. Like talk about judgment thrown at people,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah. So this is kind of processing out loud. We like so it's kind of endless. We could like give a fixer shirt to. Well, I always kind of like you know. I think one time I gave a fixer shirt to a thrift store as a donation, just wondering like who was going to get it for like $5 and wear it.
Mm-hmm.
So um, just to kind of like throw that out there, and I mean, I'll never know. I'll never know what goes on, or maybe I will. So, but I think we've learned, and I've learned at least that this past year that um, you can play with these things, and it can just be play, and you don't have to feel so purpose driven, purpose. Like I said before, to where you have to just be so rigid and be so caught in your, well, if I'm a coach, I have to do this, or if I'm an artist, I have to do this, or if I'm a web designer, I have to do this, and I have to put upon this person, this persona. Why don't I put on like this other persona with a shirt and like not tell people I have no idea what this
Yeah, what if we just have no idea? What if we all have no idea what we should be doing or what the universe has available for us? What if we just go see?
I like that. I want to do that. More of that.
Mm-hmm.
More of that. So it's such a much better place than worrying about who's going to like us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. So anything else?
No, I think that's good.
Fun.
That's
Yeah.
our dialogue for the day.
Today. Yeah. Let the experiments happen.
Yeah.
We'll wear our shirts wherever we are today, at home, or I'm going to sing today. So, well, that'll be fun. See what people think of it then.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. Well, thank you, Rita.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.